Today's episode is sponsored by CirclePlace. Need a professional presence to go alongside your online business? Use CirclePlace to create your new website. Trust thousands of small businesses like Catherine's Intelligence Agency and Fergus's Business Insurance. Trust CirclePlace with their needs.
Use Turncoat 40 for 40% off your first 3 months. That's Turncoat 40 for 40% off. CirclePlace, your online presence perfected.
How many people do you trust in your lives? Try to put a number on it. There's the obvious options, maybe your parents, old friends, perhaps your doctor. In short, the people we know, people close to us. But what about the bus driver on your way to work? Sounds silly at first, but every day millions of people trust a complete stranger to take them back and forth through busy traffic at speed without incident.
We trust the bus driver because of the institution that they represent. We trust that the training and protocols are in place should something go wrong. So what happens when someone you trust, someone you know, betrays you? What happens if that person is a respected member of the United States' most secret and respected institutions?
This is the true story of how the CIA was shaken to its core. A spy network developed over decades, destroyed in months. And by the end of this story, over 30 US agents face the consequences. I'm Jennifer Langston.
And I'm David Wells. And together we are the hosts of Turncoat, a Hippo Media production.
There can be no stable and enduring peace without the participation of the People's Republic of China. Any nation can be our friend.
We are learning new information surrounding what some consider to be one of the CIA's worst failures in recent history.
A violent crackdown by the Chinese government on spies working for the CIA
has systematically identified, captured, and killed up to 20 informants. Some theorized that there was a mole in the US government.
They had a massive systemic failure on their hands.
A former CIA officer is in jail this morning and charged with illegally possessing classified information.
June 19th, 2006, Beijing, China. 6 men sit around a small poker table, cards slapped down on the wood, chips clattered together. The air is foggy with thick tobacco smoke. At a corner of the table is sitting Tom Chow, a mid-level government official in the Foreign Trade Department. At 10 and at 7 in one hand, a glass of liqueur in the other. He's been on a losing streak all night, and when his opponent lays down their cards, Chow's luck fails him again. Gambling is strictly prohibited. Fines, jail time, and in Chow's case, the end of a government career. But for Chow, poker was an escape from a high-pressure job, a way to blow off steam.
Defeated, Chow stands outside the bar, staring blankly at the layer of ash on his cigarette. After a while, a man approaches him, smiling and easygoing. His name is Jerry Chun Xing Li. Li strikes up a conversation. He's a few years older than Chow, but can relate to his struggles. They talk about work, life, and the game. Soon he offers Chow a drink, or 2, or 3, and after a while, Li presses a few crinkled notes into Chow's shirt pocket and tells him to play a few hands on him. Numbers are exchanged and the two agree to meet next week. Same time, same place. Chow is unaware that he's just been given what's known in spycraft as the bump, a seemingly random first encounter and innocuous first contact, the beginning of his relationship with the CIA.
For intelligence agencies, recruiting an informant is an art form. You don't just walk up and ask, hey, do you want to spy for the US government? It's far too dangerous. Instead, you establish a relationship, build trust, and find leverage. Somehow, you must convince someone to run the biggest risk of their lives for you. In the intelligent world, there's a process, an acronym, MICE, M-I-C-E, money, ideology, coercion, and ego. 4 areas to target when recruiting an informant. For intelligence agencies, the task is figuring out which of these tools to use. The approach to each informant is specifically tailored. For one person, ideology might work, for another, money. For this reason, it's important for case officers like Li to establish a rapport.
For Chow, it started simple, money. An acquaintance offering a drink, a small loan here and there to keep the game going, but things gradually began to build week by week. When Chow lost, there was another handful of cash and an easy smile. It seemed like nothing, a friend helping a friend. But money never comes without strings attached. Chow doesn't know this, but every single note that Lee hands him comes directly from the United States government. He isn't borrowing from a friend anymore, he's sinking deeper into a debt he couldn't possibly understand.
October 27, 2006, 4 months later, Peking Chamber Restaurant. The sweet, savoury smell of duck permeates the air, and servers pace their tastefully decorated interior. Chow is waiting. Lee had invited him to a dinner with news of an exciting and potentially lucrative new project he's been working on. When Lee arrives, the topic of conversation turns in a direction Chow doesn't quite expect. Lee keeps talking about corruption, how rich Congress members pocket millions in fraud. Talking so openly and fragrantly was seriously risky, and Chow can't help but glance around to make sure no one's listening in. And yet, he doesn't find himself entirely disagreeing. Corruption was an open secret. Everyone knew it was happening to some extent. If you wanted to open a new factory, you had to put money in the right hands. That's just how things were done.
Then Lee made his proposal. It was simple, a quick scan of a few upcoming policy changes in exchange for a small one-time payment. Nothing too serious, a favour for a good friend. After all, if ministers were pocketing millions, why shouldn't Chow take a fee for himself? It's a tempting offer, but bribery? Gambling was one thing, but a corruption conviction would see him in a cell for the rest of his life, or potentially facing the end of a rifle barrel. He declines the offer. The risk for a mid-level government employee like himself is just too great. He hadn't got the connections or the contacts to keep himself safe. But Lee has another trick up his sleeve. The coercion level of mice. This is when Lee finally breaks the news that Chow had amassed a debt over 60,000 yuan, over $10,000 today. And Lee continues. He explains that every single yuan comes directly from the United States Central Intelligence Agency. The colour drains from Chow's face, his heart pounding. This is a death sentence. If anyone ever finds out, Chow's life is over. Lee assures him that no one ever will, provided he cooperates. The threat is clear.
Left with no choice, Chow returns to work the next day. He opens the company system, pulls up the policy change, and plugs in his USB drive. A quick glance over his shoulder to make sure no one's watching. It's almost too easy. Within seconds, it's done. He hands the USB to Lee the next night, who slips him 4,000 yuan, roughly $700. Chow tells himself it's a one-time thing, but the money vanishes fast, and before long, he's broke again. For gamblers like Chow, saying no is nearly impossible. The money is too tempting, too effortless. He's hooked. And so the cycle continues. More money for more secret information. Chow becomes the perfect informant, with access to high-level foreign trade documents, easily motivated and extremely discreet.
2 years later, February 3rd, 2009. Lee sits at his desk. On his computer is a website. To anyone else, it's nothing. A dull blog about backpacking routes through Asia. Outdated fonts, broken links, comments from users. Same as any website. But Lee knows where to click. Hidden behind the code is a digital backdoor, built for messages that cannot exist. Every post, every pixel has a purpose. What looks like travel advice is really a signal, a meeting point for him and Chow and every other informant working for Lee. In the world that Lee operates in, communication is everything. And for a while, the CIA thought it had it mastered. A web of ordinary-looking sites, news pages, weather updates, hobby blogs. But beneath those surfaces was the COV-COM system, covert communications. Lines of hidden code turning pixels into messages, browsers into dead drops. It was clean, scalable, and perfect for handling dozens of low-tier informants all across China. There was no meetings, no tails, just clicks and code. But the same patterns that made it efficient made it vulnerable, and Chow's once regular messages and posts have gone quiet.
Join us next week as we delve deeper into the network, following Lee as more informants disappear without a trace, and who could be responsible.
If you're watching this podcast on YouTube or Spotify, don't forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts on the case. And wherever you're listening, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.